Yublym, chapter 1. And it came to be in the first year of the children of Israel, coming out of Mitzrayim, in the 3rd month, on the 16th day of the month, that Elohim spoke to Moshe, saying, Come up to me on the mountain, and I shall give you 2 tablets of stone of the Torah and the command which I have written, that you may teach them. And Moshe went up into the mountain of Elohim, and the esteem of Yahweh dwelt on Mount Sinai, and a cloud overshadowed it 6 days. And he called to Moshe on the 7th day out of the midst of the cloud. And the appearance of the esteem of Yahweh was like a flaming fire on top of the mountain. And Moshe was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. And Elohim taught him the earlier and the latter history of the division of all the days of the law of the witness. And he said, Incline your heart to every word which I shall speak to you on this mountain, and write them in a book, in order that their generations may see how I have not forsaken them for all the evil which they have done in transgressing the covenant which I established between me and you, for their generations this day on Mount Sinai. And so it shall come to be, when all these matters come upon them, that they shall recognize that I am more righteous than they in all the judgments, and in their actions, and they shall recognize that I have been true with them. And you shall write for yourselves all these words which I declare to you this day, for I know their rebellion and their stiff neck, before I bring them into the hand of which I swore to their fathers, to Abraham, and to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov, saying, Unto your seed I shall give a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall eat and be satisfied, and they shall turn to strange mighty ones, and mighty ones cannot deliver them from any of their tribulation. And this witness shall be heard for a witness against them. For they shall forget all my commands, even all that I commanded them. And they shall walk after the Gentiles, after their uncleanness, and after their shame, and shall serve their mighty ones. And these shall come to be an offense to them, and a tribulation, and an affliction, and a snare. And much shall perish, and they shall be taken captive, and shall fall into the hands of the enemy, because they have forsaken my laws and my commands, and the festivals of my covenant, and my Shabbatut, and my Kadush place which I have Kadush for myself in their midst, and my Mishkan, and my Mikdash, which I have Kadush for myself in the midst of the land, that I should place my name upon it, and there it should dwell. And they shall make for themselves high places, and asherim, and carved images, and they shall worship each his own, so as to go astray. And they shall offer their children to demons, and to all the works of the straying of their heart. And I shall send witnesses to them, that I may witness against them, but they shall not hear, and shall slay the witnesses also. And they shall persecute those who seek the law, and they shall overturn the change all, so as to work evil before my eyes. And I shall hide my face from them, and I shall deliver them into the hand of the Gentiles for captivity, and for prey, and for devouring. And I shall remove them from the midst of the land, and I shall scatter them among the Gentiles. And they shall forget all my Torah, and all my commands, and all my right rulings, and go astray as to new moons, Shabbatut, festivals, and Yublym, and laws. And after this they shall turn to me from among the Gentiles with all their heart, and with all their being, and with all their strength. And I shall gather them from among all the Gentiles, and they shall seek me, so that I shall be found by them, when they seek me with all their heart, and with all their being. And I shall reveal to them great peace with righteousness, and I shall plant them in this land in truth, with all my heart, with all my being. And they shall be for a barakah, and not for a curse, and they shall be the head, and not the tail. And I shall build my Mikdash in their midst. I shall dwell with them, I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people in truth and righteousness. And I shall not forsake them, nor fail them, for I am Yahuwah their Elohim. And Moshe fell on his face and prayed and said, O Adonai, my Elohim, do not forsake your people and your inheritance, so that they should wander in the straying of their hearts, and do not deliver them into the hands of their enemies, the Gentiles, lest they should rule over them and cause them to crime against you. Let your kindness, O Adonai, be lifted up on your people, and create in them an upright root. Do not let the root of Belial rule over them to accuse them before you, and to ensnare them from all paths of righteousness, so that they might perish from before your face. But they are your people and your inheritance, which you have delivered with your great power from the hands of the Mitzrites. Create in them a clean heart and a kadosh root, and do not let them be ensnared in their crimes from this time and forever. And Yahweh said to Moshe, I know their unruliness, and their thoughts, and they are stiff-necked, and they shall not be obedient till they confess their own crime, the crime of their fathers. And after this they shall turn to me in all uprightness, and with all their heart, and with all their being. And I shall circumcise the foreskin of their heart, and the foreskin of the heart of their seed, and I shall create in them a kadosh root. And I shall cleanse them, so that they shall not turn away from me until that day, unto eternity. And their beings shall cling to me, and to all my commands, and they shall perform my commands. And I shall be their father, and they shall be my children. And they shall all be called children of the living Elohim. And every messenger and every root shall know, even they shall know that these are my children, and that I am their father in uprightness and righteousness, and that I love them. And you shall write down for yourself all these words which I declare unto you on this mountain, the first and the last, which shall come to be in all the divisions of the days of the law, and the witnesses, and the Shabbatut, and the Yublym forever, until I descend and dwell with them forever. And he said to the messenger of the presence, Write for Moshe from the beginning of creation till my Mikdash has been built among them forever. And Yahuwah shall appear to the eyes of all, and all shall know that I am the Elohim of Israel, and the father of all the children of Yaakov, and sovereign on Mount Zion forever. And Zion and Yerushalayim shall be Kadosh. And the messenger of the presence who went before the camp of Israel took the tablets of the divisions of the years from the time of the creation of the law, and the witnesses of the Shabbatut, and of the Yublym, according to the individual years, according to all the number of the Yublym. From the day of the creation, when the Shemayim and the Eretz shall be renewed, and all their creation, according to the powers of the Shemayim, and according to all the creation of the Eretz, until the Mikdash of Yahuwah shall be made in Yerushalayim on Mount Zion, and all the lights be renewed for healing, and for peace, and for barakah, and for all the chosen of Israel. And so it shall be from that day unto all the days of the Eretz. Chapter 2. And the messenger of the presence spoke to Moshe according to the word of Yahuwah, saying, Write the complete history of the creation, how in 6 days Elohim finished all his works, and all that he created, and guarded the Shabbat on the 7th day, and kadoshed it for all ages, and appointed it as a sign for all his works. For on the first day he created the Shemayim which are above, and the Eretz, and the waters, and all the Rukut which serve before him, the messengers of presence, the messengers of Kadashah, and the messengers of the Ruk of the winds, and the messengers of the Ruk of the clouds, and of darkness, and of snow, and of hail, and of hoarfrost, and the messengers of the voices of the thunder and the lightning, and the messengers of the Ruk of the cold and the heat, and of winter, and of spring, and of autumn, and of summer, and of all the Rukut of his creatures which are in the Shemayim and on the Eretz, the abysses and the darkness, evening and night, and light, dawn and day, which he has prepared in the knowledge of his heart. And we looked upon his works, and praised him, and exalted him because of all his works. For 7 great works he created on the first day. And on the second day he created the expanse in the midst of the waters, and the waters were divided up on that day. Half of them went up above, and half of them went down below. The expanse in the midst over the face of the whole Eretz, and this was the whole only work created on the second day. On the third day he commanded the waters to pass from the face of the whole Eretz into one place, and the dry land to appear. And the waters did so, as he commanded them, and they withdrew from off the face of the Eretz, into one place outside of this expanse, and the dry land appeared. On that day he created for them all the seas according to their separate gatherings, all the rivers, and the gatherings of the waters in the mountains, and on all the Eretz, and all the lakes, and all the dews of the Eretz, and the seed which is sown, and all the sprouting matters, and the fruit-bearing trees, and the trees of the forest, and the garden of Eden, and all the plants after their kind. These 4 great works Elohim created on the third day. On the fourth day he created the greater light, the lesser light, and the stars, and placed them in the expanse of the Shemayim, to give light upon all the Eretz, and to rule over the day, the night, to divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim appointed the greater light to be a great sign on the Eretz for days, for Shabbatut, and for months, and for festivals, and for years, and for Shabbatut of years, and for Yublym, and for all seasons of the years, and divides the light from the darkness for good, that all matters may thrive, sprout, and grow on the Eretz. These 3 kinds he made on the 4th day. On the 5th day he created the great Leviathans and the depths of the waters, for these were the first matters of flesh that he had created by his hands, the fish and all that moves in the waters, and all that flies, the birds and all their kind. And the greater light rose above them to prosper them, and above all that was on the Eretz, all the sprouts of the Eretz, all the fruit-bearing trees, and all flesh. These 3 kinds he created on the 5th day. On the 6th day he created all the beasts of the Eretz, all the cattle, and all that move on the Eretz. And after all this he created male and female, he created them, and gave him rulership over all that is on the Eretz, and in the seas, and over all that flies, and over the beasts, and over cattle, over all that moves on the Eretz, and over the whole Eretz, and over all this he gave him rulership. And these 4 kinds he created on the 6th day, and there were altogether 22 kinds. And he finished all his work on the 6th day, all that is in the Shemayim, and on the Eretz, and in the seas, and in the abysses, and in the light, and in darkness, and in all. And he gave us a great sign, the Shabbatut day, that we shall work 6 days, but guard the Shabbatut on the 7th day from all work. And all the messengers of the presence, and all the messengers of the Kadoshah, these 2 great classes he has hidden us to guard the Shemayim with him, in the Shemayim and on the Eretz. And he said to us, See, I shall separate unto myself a people from among all the peoples, and they shall guard the Shabbat day. And I shall kadush them unto myself as my people, and shall barak them, as I have kadush the Shabbat day, and kadush it unto myself, even so I shall barak them, and they shall be my people, and I shall be their Elohim. And I have chosen the seed of Yaakov from among all that I have seen, and have written him down as my firstborn bond, and have kadush him unto myself forever and ever. And I shall teach them the Shabbat Yom, that they may guard the Shabbat thereon from all work. And so he created therein a sign and a coordinates with which they should guard the Shabbat with us on the seventh day, to eat and to drink, and to barak him who has created all matters, as he is barak and kadush unto himself, the treasured possession, a people above all peoples, and that they should guard the Shabbat together with us. And he caused his commands to ascend as a sweet fragrance, acceptable before him all the days. There were 22 heads of male kind from Adam to Yaakub, and 22 kinds of work were made until the seventh day. This is Baruch and Kadush. The former also is Baruch and Kadush. And this one serves with that one for Kadushah and Barakah. And to them, Yaakub and his seed, it was granted that they should always be the Baruch and Kadushim of the first witness of the Torah, even as he had Kadush and Barak the Shabbat Yom on the seventh day. And he created the Shamayim and the Eretz and all that he created in 6 days. And Elohim made the seventh day Kadush for all his works. Therefore he commanded for this reason that whoever does work on it shall die, and that he who defiles it shall certainly die. Therefore you shall command the children of Israel to observe this day, that they may Kadush it, and not do any work on it, and not to defile it, as it is more Kadush than all other days. And whoever profanes it shall certainly die, and whoever does any work on it shall certainly die forever. That the children of Israel may observe this day throughout their generations, and not be rooted out of the land. For it is a Kadush day, and a Baruch day, and everyone who observes it and guards the Shabbat thereon from all his work shall be Kadush and Baruch throughout all days like us. Declare and say to the children of Israel the law of this day, both that they should guard the Shabbat on it, and that they should not forsake it in the stirring of their hearts. That is not right, to do any work on it, which is improper, to do their own pleasure on it, and that they should not prepare whatever on it to be eaten or drunk, and to draw water, or bring in or take out through their gates any burden on it, which they had not prepared for themselves on the 6th day in their dwellings. And they shall not bring in nor take out from house to house on that day. For that day is more Kadush and Barak than any Yubal day of the Yublym. On this we guarded the Shabbat and the Shamayim before it was made known to any flesh to guard the Shabbat thereon on the Eretz. And the Creator of all matters Barak it. And he did not Kadush all peoples and nations to guard the Shabbat on it, but Israel alone. They alone he permitted to eat and drink and to guard the Shabbat thereon on the Eretz. And the Creator of all matters Barak this day, which he had created for a Barakah and a Kadashah, and a esteem above all days. This Torah and witness was given to the children of Israel as a law forever unto their generations. Chapter 3. And on the 6 days of the 2nd week, according to the word of Elohim, we brought to Adam all the beasts, and all the cattle, and all the birds, and all that moves on the Eretz, and all that moves in the water, according to their kinds, and according to their types, the beast on the 1st day, the cattle on the 2nd day, the birds on the 3rd day, all that moves on the Eretz on the 4th day, and that which moves in the water on the 5th day. And Adam named them all by their respective names, and as he called them, so their name was. And on these 5 days Adam saw all these, male and female, according to every kind that was on the Eretz. But he was alone, and found no assistant for himself. And Yahweh said to us, It is not good that the male should be alone. Let us make him assistant for him. And Yahweh, our Elohim, caused a deep sleep to fall upon him, and he slept. And he took for the female one rib from among his ribs, and this rib was from the origin of a female, from among his ribs, and he built up the flesh and its steed, and made the female. And he woke up Adam out of his sleep, and upon waking he rose on the 6th day, and brought her to him. And he knew her, and said to her, This is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called female, because she was taken out of male. Therefore male and wife shall be one, and therefore a male shall leave his father and his mother, and cling to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And the first week Adam was created, and the rib his wife. In the second week he showed her to him. And for this reason the commandment was given to keep in their defilement, for a male 7 days, and for a female twice 7 days. And after Adam had completed 40 days in the land where he had been created, we brought him into the Garden of Eden to till it and to keep it. But his wife they brought in on the 80th day, and after this she entered into the Garden of Eden. And for this reason the command is written on the tablets of the Shemayim, in regard to her that gives birth. If she brings forth male, she shall remain in her uncleanness 7 days, according to the first week of days. And 33 days she shall remain in the blood of her purifying. And she shall not touch any kadush matter, nor enter into the mikdash, until she accomplishes these days which are commanded in the case of the male child. But in the case of the female child, she shall remain in her uncleanness 2 weeks of days, according to the first 2 weeks, and 66 days in the blood of her purification. And there shall be 80 days all in all. And when she had completed these 80 days, we brought her into the Garden of Eden, for it is more kadush than all the arets beside, and every tree that is planted in it is kadush. Therefore there was ordained regarding her who brings forth a male or female child the law of those days, that she should touch no kadush matter, nor enter into the mikdash, until these days for the male or female child are accomplished. This is the Torah in witness, which was written down for Yisrael, in order that they should observe it forever. In the first week of the first Yublym, Adam and his wife were in the Garden of Eden for 7 years, telling and keeping it. And we gave him work, and we instructed him to do all that is suitable for serving. And he tilled the garden, and was naked, and was not aware of it, and was not ashamed. And he protected the garden from birds, beasts, cattle, gathered its fruit, and ate, and put aside the remainder for himself and for his wife. And after the completion of the 7 years which he had completed there, 7 years exactly, in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, the serpent came and approached the female. And the serpent said to the female, Has Elohim commanded you, saying, You shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And she said to him, Of all the fruit of the trees of the garden Elohim has said to us, Eat. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden Elohim has said to us, You shall not eat it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said to the female, You shall certainly not die, for Elohim knows that on the day you eat of it your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be like Elohim, and you shall know good and evil. And the female saw the tree, that it was agreeable and pleasant to the eye, and that its fruit was good for food. And she took it and ate. And when she had first covered her shame with fig tree leaves, she gave of it to Adam, and he ate, and his eyes were opened, and he saw that he was naked. And he took fig leaves and sewed them together, and made a covering for himself, and covered his shame. And Elohim cursed the serpent, and was wroth with it forever. And he was wroth with the female, because she listened to the voice of the serpent, and ate. And he said to her, I shall greatly multiply your sorrow and your pains. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and your return shall be unto your husband, and he shall rule over you. And to Adam also he said, Because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree which I commanded you that you should not eat of it, cursed be the ground for your sake. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth to you, and you shall eat your bread in the sweat of your face, till you return to the earth, from where you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you shall return. And he made for them coats of skin, and clothed them, and sent them out from the Garden of Eden. And on that day on which Adam went out from the garden, he offered as a sweet fragrance an offering frankincense, galbanum, and fragrant gum, and spices in the bakar, with the rising of the lesser light from the day when he covered his shame. On that day the mouth of all the beasts was closed, and of all cattle, and of all birds, and of whatever walks, and of whatever moves, so that they could no longer speak, for they had all spoken, one with another, with one lip, and with one tongue. And he sent out of the Garden of Eden all flesh that was in the Garden of Eden, and all flesh was scattered according to their kinds, according to their types, to their places which had been created for them. And to Adam alone he gave the means to cover his shame of all the beasts of cattle. On this account it is prescribed on the tablets of the Shemayim as regarding all those who know the right ruling of the Torah, that they should cover their shame, and should not uncover themselves as the Gentiles uncover themselves. And on the new Yirach of the 4th month, Adam and his wife went out from the Garden of Eden, and they dwelt in the land of Aldah, in the land of their creation. And Adam called the name of his wife Hawwa, and they had no bond till the first Yubal. And after this he knew her. Now he tilled the land as he had been instructed in the Garden of Eden. Chapter 4. And in the 3rd week, in the 2nd Yubal, she gave birth to Cain. And in the 4th she gave birth to Habal. And the 5th she gave birth to her daughter Awan. In the 1st year of the 3rd Yubal, Cain slew Habal, because Elohim accepted the offering of Habal, and did not accept the offering of Cain. And he slew him in the field, and his blood cried out from the ground to the Shemayim, lamenting because he had slain him. And Yahuwah reproved Cain because of Habal, because he had slain him, and he made him a fugitive on the Eretz because of the blood of his brother. And he cursed him upon the Eretz. And on this account it is written on the tablets of the Shemayim, Cursed is he who smites his neighbor treacherously. And let all who have seen it and heard it say, So be it. And the male who has been seen and not declared, let him be accursed as the other. And for this reason we announce when we come before Yahuwah our Elohim all the crime which is committed in the Shemayim and on the Eretz, and in light and in darkness, and everywhere. And Adam and his wife mourned for Habal 4 weeks of years. And in the 4th year of the 5th week they became joyful, and Adam knew his wife again, and she bore him a bond. And he called his name Shat, for he said, Elohim has raised up a second seed for us on the Eretz instead of Habal, for Cain slew him. In the 6th week he brought forth his daughter Azurah. And Cain took Awan, his sister, to be his wife, and she bore him Chanuk at the close of the 4th Yubal. In the 1st year of the 1st week of the 5th Yubal, dwellings were built on the Eretz, and Cain built a city, and called its name after the name of his bond, Chanuk. And Adam knew Hawwa, his wife, and she bore a further 9 banim. And in the 5th week of the 5th Yubal, Shat took Azurah, his sister, to be his wife. And in the 4th year of the 6th week, she bore him Anush. He began to call on the name of Yahuwah on the Eretz. And in the 7th Yubal, in the 3rd week, Anush took Nuam, his sister, to be his wife. And she bore him a bond in the 3rd year of the 5th week. And he called his name Canaan. And at the close of the 8th Yubal, Canaan took Mu'alat, his sister, to be his wife, and she bore him a bond in the 9th Yubal, and the first week in the 3rd year of this week, and he called his name Mahal-al-al. And the 2nd week of the 10th Yubal, Mahal-al-al took his wife Dinah, the daughter of Barachial, the daughter of his father's brother. And she bore him a bond in the 3rd week, in the 6th year, and called his name Yarad. For in his days the messengers of Yahuwah descended on the Eretz, those who are named the Watchers, that they should instruct the children of males, that they should do right ruling and uprightness on the Eretz. And the 11th Yubal, Yarad took a wife, and her name was Barakah, the daughter of Razuyal, a daughter of his father's brother. And the 4th week of this Yubal, and she bore him a bond in the 5th week, in the 4th year of Yubal, and he called his name Kanuk. And he was the first among males that were born on the Eretz who learned writing, knowledge, and wisdom, and who wrote down the signs of the Shemayim according to the order of their months, in a book, that males might know the seasons of the years according to the order of their separate months. And he was the first to write a witness, and he witnessed to the Banim of males among the generations of the Eretz, and recounted the weeks of the Yublym, and made known to them the days of the years, and put in order the months, and recounted the Shabbatut of the years, as we made known to him. And what was and what shall be he saw in a vision of his sleep, as it shall happen to the children of males throughout their generations, until the day of judgment. He saw and understood all, and wrote his witness, and placed the witness on the Eretz for all children of males, and for all their generations. And in the 12th Yubal, in the 7th week, he took a wife, and her name was Adni, the daughter of Danal, the daughter of his father's brother. In the 6th year, in this week, she bore him a bond, and he called his name Matushalah. And he was furthermore with the messengers of Elohim these 6 Yubalim years. And they showed him all which is on the Eretz, and in the Shemayim, the rule of the greater light, and he wrote it all down. And he witnessed the watchers who had crimed with the daughters of males, for these had begun to unite themselves so as to be defiled with the daughters of males. And Kanuk witnessed against them all. And he was taken from among the children of males, and we conducted him in our garden of Eden in majesty and honor. And see, there he writes down the condemnation and judgment of the world, and all wickedness of the children of males. And on account of it, Elohim brought the waters of the flood upon all the land of Eden. For there he was appointed as a sign that he should witness against the children of males, that he should recount all the deeds of the generations until the day of condemnation. And he burned the incense of the Mikdash, sweet spices, acceptable before Yahuwah on the mountain. For Yahuwah has 4 places on the Eretz, the Garden of Eden, the mountain of the east, and this the mountain on which you are this day, Mount Sinai and Mount Zion, which shall be Kadush in the new creation for Akadashah of the Eretz. Through it the Eretz shall be Kadush from all guilt and its uncleanness throughout the generation of the world. And in the 14th Yubal, Matushalah took a wife, Adnah, the daughter of Azriel, the daughter of his father's brother, in the 3rd week, in the 1st year of this week. And he brought forth a bond, and called his name Lamach. In the 15th Yubal, in the 3rd week, Lamach took a wife, and her name was Batanus, the daughter of Barachial, the daughter of his father's brother. And in this week she bore him a bond, and called his name Noah, saying, This one shall comfort me from my trouble, and all my work, and for the ground which Yahuwah has cursed. And at the close of the 15th Yublym. In the 7th week, in the 6th year, Adam died, and all his Banim buried him in the land of his creation. And he was the first to be buried in the Eretz, and he was less 70 years from 1,000 years. For 1,000 years are as one day in the witness of the Shamayim. And therefore was it written concerning the tree of knowledge, on the day you eat of it you shall die. For this reason he did not complete the years of this day, for he died during it. At the close of this Yuval, Cain was killed after him in the same year, for his house fell upon him, and he died in the midst of his house, and he was killed by its stones, for with a stone he had killed Habal, and by a stone he was killed in righteous judgment. For this reason it was ordained on the tablets of the Shemayim, with the instrument of which a male kills his neighbor with, the same shall he be killed, after the manner that he wounded him, in like manner shall they deal with him. In the 25th Yubal, Noah took a wife, and her name was Zara, the daughter of Raka'al, the daughter of his father's brother, in the 1st year of the 5th week. And in the 3rd year she bore him Sham. In the 5th year she bore him Ham. And the 1st year in the 6th week she bore him Japheth. Chapter 5. And it came to be, when the children of males began to multiply on the face of the Eretz, and daughters were born to them, that the messengers of Elohim saw them on a certain year of this Yubal, that they were lovely to look upon, and they took themselves wives of all whom they chose, and they bore unto them Banim, and they were giants. Lawlessness increased on the Eretz, and all flesh corrupted its way alike, males, cattle, beasts, and birds, and all that walks on the Eretz. All of them corrupted their ways and their orders, and they began to devour each other, and lawlessness increased on the Eretz, and every imagination of the thoughts of all males was only evil continually. And Elohim looked upon the Eretz, and see, it was corrupt, and all flesh had corrupted its orders, and all that were upon the Eretz had wrought all kinds of evil before his eyes. And he said, I shall destroy male and all flesh upon the face of the Eretz which I have created. But Noah found favor before the eyes of Yahuwah, and against the messengers whom he had sent upon the Eretz he was exceedingly wroth, and he gave a command to root them out of their reign. And he commanded us to bind them in the depths of the Eretz. And see, they are bound in the midst of it, and are kept separate. And against their Banim went forth a command from them before his face, that they should be smitten with the sword, and shall be removed from under the Shamayim. And he said, Your rook shall not always abide on male, for they also are flesh, and their days shall be 120 years. And he sent his sword into their midst, that each one should slay his neighbor. And they began to slay each other till they all fell by the sword, and were destroyed from the face of the Eretz. And their fathers were witnesses of their destruction. And after this they were bound in the depths of the Eretz forever, until the day of the great condemnation, when judgment is executed on all those who have corrupted their ways and their works before Yahuwah. And he destroyed from all their places, and not one remained of them, whom he did not judge according to all their wickedness. And he appointed for all his works a new and righteous nature, so that they should not crime in their whole nature forever, but should be all righteous, each in his kind always. And the judgment of all is ordained and written on the tablets of the Shamayim in righteousness, even the judgment of all who depart from the path which is ordained for them to walk in. And if they do not walk therein, the judgment is written down for every creature and for every kind. There is none in the Shamayim, or on the Eretz, or in light, or in darkness, or in grave, or in depth, or in the place of darkness which is not judged, and all their judgments are ordained and written and engraved, and regarding to all he shall rule rightly, and the great according to his greatness, and the small according to his smallness, and each according to his way. And he is not one who shall regard the face of any, nor is he one who shall receive bribes. If he says that he shall execute judgment on each, if one gave all that is on the arets, he shall not regard the bribes or the face of any, nor accept any matter at his hands, for he is a righteous judge. And of all the children of Israel it has been written and ordained, if they turn to him in righteousness, he shall forgive all their transgressions and pardon all their crimes. It is written and ordained that he shall show kindness to all who turn from all their guilt once each year. And as for all those who corrupted their ways and their thoughts before the flood, no male's face was accepted except that Noah alone, for his face was accepted in behalf of his Banim, whom Elohim saved from the waters of the flood on his account. For his heart was righteous in all his ways, accordingly as it was commanded regarding him, and he had not departed from any matter that was ordained for him. And Yahuwah said that he would destroy all which is upon the arets, both male, cattle, beast, and birds of the air that moves on the arets. And he commanded Noah to make himself an ark, that he might save himself from the waters of the flood. And Noah made the ark in all respects, as he commanded him, in the 27th Yubah of years, and the 5th week, and the 5th year of the new Urak, on the 1st month. And he entered in the 6th year of the 2nd month, on the new Urak of the 2nd month, till the 16th, and he entered, and all that were brought to him into the ark, and Yahuwah closed it from without on the 17th evening. And Yahuwah opened 7 windows of the Shamayim, and the mouths of the fountains of the great deep, 7 mouths in number. And the windows began to pour down the water from the Shamayim 40 days, 40 nights, and the fountains of the deep also sent up waters, until the whole arets was filled up with water. And the waters increased upon the arets 15 amah, and the waters rose above all the high mountains. And the ark was lifted above the arets, and it moved upon the face of the waters. And the waters were mighty on the face of the arets 5 months, 150 days. The ark went and rested on the top of Lubar, one of the mountains of Ararat. And on the new Urak in the 4th month, the mountains of the great deep were closed, and the windows of the Shamayim were restrained. And on the new Urak of the 7th month, all the months of the abysses of the mouths of the abysses of the arets were opened, and the water began to descend into the deep below. And on the new Urak of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were visible. And on the new Urak of the 1st month, the arets became visible, and the waters disappeared from above the arets in the 5th week, in the 7th year, on the 17th day in the 2nd month of the year, was dry. And on the 27th he opened the ark, and sent out from it beasts, cattle, birds, and every moving creature. Chapter 6. And on the new Urak, on the 3rd month, he went out from the ark, and built an altar on the mountain. He made an atonement for the arets, and took a young goat, and made atonement with its blood for the guilt of all the arets. For all that had been on it had been destroyed, except those that were in the ark with Noah. And he placed the fat of it on the altar. He took a bull, and a goat, and a male goat, and salt, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon, and placed a burnt offering on it, on the altar, and poured an offering on it mixed with oil, and sprinkled wine, and spread frankincense over all, and caused a sweet fragrance to her eyes, acceptable before Yahuwah. And Yahuwah smelled the sweet fragrance, and he made a covenant with him, that there should no longer be a flood to destroy the Eretz. All the days of the Eretz, seed time and harvest, should never cease. Cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night should not change their order, nor cease forever. And you increase and multiply on the Eretz, and become numerous upon it, and be a barakah upon it. The fear of you and the dread of you I shall inspire in all that is on the Eretz and in the sea. And see, I have given to you all the beasts, all flying creatures, all that moves on the Eretz, and the fish in the waters, and all matters for food. As the green plants, I have given you all matters to eat, but flesh with its height, with the blood, you shall not eat. For the height of all flesh is in the blood, lest your blood of your height be required. At the hand of every male, at the hand of every beast, I shall require the blood of male. Whoever sheds male's blood by male shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Elohim he made man, and you increase and multiply on the Eretz. And Noah his bondman swore that they would not eat any blood that was in any flesh, and that he made a covenant before Yahweh Elohim forever throughout all the generations of the Eretz in this month. On this account he spoke to you that you should make a covenant with the children of Israel in this month, upon the mountain with an oath, and that you should sprinkle blood upon them, because of all the words of the covenant which Yahweh made with them forever. And this witness is written concerning you, that you should observe it continually, so that you should not eat on any day any blood of beast or bird or cattle during all the days of the Eretz. And the male who eats the blood of beast or cattle or birds during all the days of the Eretz, he and his seed shall be rooted out of the land. And you shall command the children of Israel to eat no blood, so that their names and their seed may be before Yahweh our Elohim continually. And for this law there is no limit of days, for it is forever. They shall observe it throughout their generations, so that they may continue atonement on your behalf with blood before the altar every day. And at the time of Bakar and Akab, they shall seek forgiveness on your behalf continually before Yahweh, that they may keep it and not be rooted out. And he gave to Noah and his banim a sign that there should not be a flood on the Eretz again. He placed his rainbow in the cloud for a sign of the everlasting covenant, that there should not be a flood again on the Eretz to destroy all the days of the Eretz. For this reason it is ordained and written on the tablets of the Shemayim that they should celebrate the festival of Shabbat in this month once a year, to renew the covenant every year. And this whole festival was celebrated in the Shemayim from the day of creation till the days of Noah. 26 Yublym, 5 weeks of years. Noah and his banim observed it for 7 Yublym, and 1 week of years till the day of Noah's death. And from the day of Noah's death his banim forsook it until the days of Abraham, and they ate blood. But Abraham observed it, and Yitzchak and Yaakov and his children observed it up to your days. And in your days the children of Israel forgot it until you celebrated it anew on this mountain. And you shall command the children of Israel to observe this festival in all their generations, for a command unto them. 1 day in the year is this month. They shall celebrate the festival, for it is the festival of Shabbat, and the feast of first fruits. This feast is twofold and a double nature, according to what is written and engraved concerning it. Celebrate it. For I have written in the book of the first Torah, and that which you have written for you, that you should celebrate it in its season, 1 day in the year. And I explained to you its slaughterings, that the children of Israel should remember and should celebrate it throughout their generations in this month, 1 day in every year. And on the new Yurach of the first month, and on the new Yurach of the 4th month, and on the new Yurach of the 7th month, on the new Yurach of the 10th month, are days of remembrance, the days of seasons, and the 4 divisions of the year. These are written and ordained as a witness forever, and Noah ordained them for himself as festivals for the generations forever, so that they have become thereby a memorial to him. And on the new Yurach of the first month he was told to make an ark. On that day the arets became dry, and he opened the ark and saw the arets. And on the new Yurach of the 4th month the mouths of the deeps of the abysses beneath were closed, and on the new Yurach of the 7th month all the mouths of the abysses of the arets were opened, and the waters began to descend into them. And on the new Yurach of the 10th month the tops of the mountains were seen, and Noah was glad. On account of this he ordained them for himself as festivals for a memorial forever. And thus are they ordained. They placed them on tablets of the Shemayim. Each had 13 weeks. Their memorial passed from one to another, from the first to the second, from the second to the third, from the third to the fourth. And all the days of the commands shall be 52 weeks of days, and these shall make the entire year complete. Thus it is engraved and ordained on the tablets of the Shemayim, and there is no neglecting this command for a single year, or from year to year. And you shall command the children of Israel that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days, and these shall constitute a complete year, and they shall not disturb its time from its days from its festivals, for all shall fall out in them according to their witness, and they shall not leave out any day, nor disturb any festivals. But if they neglect and do not observe them according to his command, then they shall disturb all their seasons, and the years shall be dislodged from this order, and they shall neglect their laws, and all the children of Israel shall forget, and shall not find the path of the years, and shall forget the new Yurach, and seasons, and Shabbaut, and they shall go astray as to all the orders of the years. For I know, from this time on I shall declare it to you, and it is not of my own devising, for the book is written before me, and on the tablets of the Shemayim the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the festivals of the covenant, and walk according to the festivals of the Gentiles, after their straying and after their ignorance. For there shall be those who shall assuredly make observations of the Yurach. Now it disturbs the seasons and comes in year to year 10 days too soon. For this reason the years shall come upon them when they shall disturb the order and make an abominable day, the day of witness, an unclean day, a feast day. And they shall confuse all the days, the Kadush with the unclean, and the unclean day with the Kadush. For they shall go astray as the months, and Shabbatot, and festivals, and Yublym. For this reason I command and witness to you, that you may witness to them. For after your death your children shall confuse them, so that they shall not make a year 364 days only. And for this reason they shall go astray as to the new Yurach, the seasons, and the Shabbaut, and the festivals. They shall eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh. Chapter 7. And in the 7th week of the first year, in this Yublym, Noah planted vines on the mountain on which the ark had rested, named Lubar, one of the mountains of Ararat. And they produced fruit in the 4th year, and he gardened their fruit, and gathered it in this year in the 7th month. And he made wine from them, and put it into a vessel, and kept it unto the 5th year, until the first day on the new Yurach, on the 1st month. And he celebrated with joy the day of this festival, and he made a burnt offering to Yahuwah, 1 young bull, and 1 ram, and 7 sheep, each a year old, and a young goat, that he might make atonement thereby for himself and his banim. He prepared the young goat first, and placed some of the blood on the flesh that was on the altar, which he made, and all the fat that he laid on the altar where he made the burnt offering. And the bull and the ram and the sheep he arranged all their flesh on the altar. He placed all their offerings with mixed oil on it. Afterward he sprinkled wine on the fire which he had previously made on the altar, and he placed incense on the altar, and caused a sweet fragrance to ascend, acceptable before Yahweh his Elohim. And he rejoiced and drank of this wine, and he and his children with joy. And it was a cob, and he went into his tent. Being drunk, he lay down and slept, and was uncovered in his tent as he slept. And Ham saw Noah his father naked, went outside and told his two brothers outside. And Shem took his garments, arose, he and Japheth, and they placed the garment on their shoulders, went backward, and covered the shame of their father, and their faces were backward. And Noah awoke from his sleep, and knew all that his younger bond had done to him. And he cursed his bond, and said, Cursed be Canaan, let him become a servant of servants to his brothers. And he baraked Shem, and said, Baruch be Yahweh Elohim of Shem, and let Canaan become his servant. Let Elohim enlarge Japheth, and let Elohim dwell in the dwelling of Shem, and let Canaan become his servant. And Ham knew that his father had cursed his younger bond, and he was displeased that he had cursed his bond, and he parted from his father, he and his Banim with him, Cush and Mitzrayim, and Put and Canaan. And he built a city and called its name after the name of his wife, Naal Atammauk. And Japheth saw it, and became envious of his brother, and he too built a city and called its name after the name of his wife, Adatanasas. And Shem dwelt with his father Noah, and he built a city close to his father on the mountain, and he too called its name after the name of his wife, Zadakatalabab. And see, these three cities are near Mount Lubar, Zadakatalabab, before the mountain on the east, Naalatamauk on the south, Adatanaas towards the west. And these are the Banim of Shem, Elam, Ashur, Arpachshad. This Ban was born 2 years after the flood, and Lud and Aram. The Banim of Japheth, Gumar and Magug, Madai, Yauan, Tubal, Mashak, and Tiraz. These are the Banim of Noah. And the 28th Yubal, Noah began to command his Banim, the laws and commands and all the right rulings that he knew, and he urged his Banim to observe righteousness, and to cover the shame of their flesh, and to barak their Creator, and honor their father and mother, love their neighbor, and guard their beings from whoring and uncleanness and all wickedness. For owing to these three matters the flood came upon the Eretz, namely due to the whoring by which the watchers against the Torah of their laws went whoring after the daughters of males, and took wives for themselves of all they chose, and they made the beginning of uncleanness, and they brought forth Banim and Naphidim. But they were all evil, and they devoured one another, and the giants slew the Naphil, and the Naphil slew the Alu, and the Alu male kind, and another. And everyone sold himself to work wickedness, and to shed much blood. And the Eretz was filled with wickedness, and after this they cried against the beast and the birds and all that moves and walks on the Eretz. And much blood was shed on the Eretz, and every inclination and desire of males planned worthlessness and evil continually. And Yahweh destroyed all from off the face of the Eretz because of the wickedness of their deeds, and because of the blood which they had shed in the midst of the Eretz. And he destroyed all, and we were left, you and I, my Banim, and all that entered with us unto the ark. And look, I see your works before me, that you do not walk in righteousness, for you have begun to walk in the path of destruction, and are parting from one another. and are envious of one another, and so it is that you are not in unity, my banim, each with his brother. For I look and see that demons have begun their enticements against you and against your children. And now I fear on your behalf that after my death you shall shed the blood of males upon the earth, and that you shall also be destroyed upon the face of the earth. For whoever sheds male's blood and whoever eats the blood of flesh shall all be destroyed from the earth. And there shall not be left any male that eats blood or that sheds the blood of male on the earth. Nor shall there be left to him any seed or descendants living under the Shamayim, for they shall go into the grave, and they shall descend into the place of condemnation, and they shall all be removed into the darkness of the deep by a violent death. No blood is to be seen upon you. Of all the blood there shall be all the days in which you have killed any beast or cattle or whatever flies upon the earth, and you perform a good work toward your being and cover that which has been shed on the face of the earth. And you shall not be like him who eats with blood, but guard yourselves that none may eat flesh before you cover the blood. For thus have I been commanded to witness to you and all your children together with all flesh, and do not allow the height to be eaten with the flesh, that your blood, which is your height, may not be required by the hand of any flesh that sheds it on the eretz. For the eretz shall not be clean from the blood which has been shed upon it. For only through the blood of him that shed it shall the eretz be purified throughout all its generations. And now, my children, listen, work right ruling in righteousness, that you may be planted in righteousness over the face of the whole eretz. And your esteem be lifted up before my Alaim, who saved me from the waters of the flood. And see, you shall go and build for yourselves cities, and plant in them all the plants that are upon the eretz, and also all fruit-bearing trees. For 3 years of the fruit of all that is eaten shall not be gathered. In the 4th year its fruit shall be reckoned kadush, acceptable before the Most High Al, who created the Shamayim and the Eretz and all matters. Let them offer in abundance the first of the wine and the oil as first fruits on the altar of Yahuwah, who receives it. And what is left, let the servants of the house of Yahuwah eat before the altar which receives it. And in the 5th year you perform the release, so that you release it in righteousness and uprightness, and you shall be righteous, and all that you shall plant shall prosper. So Chanuk, the father of your father, commanded Mathushalah his ban, Lamach, and Lamach commanded me all the matters which his father commanded him. And I also shall give you a command, my banim, as Chanuk commanded his ban in the first Yublym, while still living, the 7th in his generation. He commanded and witnessed to his ban and to his banim's banim until the day of his death. Chapter 8. And the 29th Yubal, in the 1st week, and the beginning of it, Arpachshad took a wife, and her name was Rasu-ayah, the daughter of Elam, and she bore him a ban in the 3rd year in this week, and he called his name Cain-nam. And the ban grew, and his father taught him writing, and he went to seek a place where he might seize a city. And he found a writing which former generations have carved on the rock, and he read what was on it, and he transcribed it and crimed in regard to it, for it contained the teaching of the watchers, in accordance with which they used to observe the signs of the greater light, the lesser light, and the stars, and all the signs of the Shamayim. And he wrote it down, but said naught regarding it, for he was afraid to speak to Noah about it, lest he should be wroth with him because of it. And in the 30th Yubal, and the 2nd week, in this 1st year, he took a wife. Her name was Malkah, the daughter of Madai, the ban of Yapath. And the 4th year he brought forth a ban, and called his name Shalah, for he said, Truly I have been sent. And Shalah grew up and took a wife, and her name was Mu'ak, the daughter of Kasad, his father's brother. And the 31st Yubal, and the 5th week, in the 1st year. And she bore him a bond in the 5th year, and called his name Abar. And he took a wife for himself, and her name was Azurab, the daughter of Nabrud, in the 32nd Yubal, and the 70th week, in the 3rd year. In the 6th year she bore him a bond, and called his name Pelag. For in the days when she bore, the children of Noah began to divide the Eretz among themselves. For this reason he called his name Pelag. And they divided it secretly among themselves, and told it to Noah. And it came to be in the beginning of the 33rd Yubal, that they divided the Eretz in 3 parts, for Sham, Ham, and Japheth, according to the inheritance of each, in the 1st year and the 1st week, when one of us who had been sent was with them. And he called his Banim, and they came near to him, and they and their children, and he divided the Eretz into the lots, which his 3 Banim were to take in possession. And they, reaching out their hand, took the writing out of their bosom Manoah, their father. And there came forth on the writing as Sham's lot, the middle of the Eretz, which he should take as an inheritance for himself, and for his Banim for the generations forever. From the middle of the mountain range of Rapha, from the mouth of the water of the river Tina, and his portion goes towards the west, through the midst of this river, and it extends till it reaches the water of the abysses, out of which this river goes forth and pours its waters into the sea of Ma'at. And this river flows into the great sea, and all that is towards the north is Yapat's, and all that is towards the south belongs to Sham, and it extends till it reaches Karasu. This is in the bottom of the tongue which looks towards the south. And his portion extends a long and great sea, and it extends in a straight line till it reaches the west of the tongue, which is towards the south, for this sea is named the tongue of the Mitzrite Sea. And it turns from here towards the sea, towards the south of the mouth of the great sea, on the shore of its waters, and it extends to the west of Afriah. And it extends till it reaches the waters of the river of Gihon, and the south of the waters of Gihon to the banks of this river. And it extends towards the east till it reaches the Garden of Eden, to the south from there, and from the east of the whole land of Eden, and of the whole east. It turns to the east and proceeds till it reaches the east of the mountains named Rapha, and it descends to the bank of the mouth of the river Tina. This portion came forth by lot for Sham and his Banim, that they should possess it forever unto his generations forever. And Noah rejoiced that this portion came forth from Sham for his Banim, and he had remembered all that he had spoken with his mouth in Nabuah, for he had said, Baruch be Yahuwah Elohim of Sham, and let Yahuwah dwell in the dwelling of Sham. And he knew that the Garden of Eden is the most kadosh place in the dwelling of Yahuwah, and Mount Sinai, the center of the desert, and Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the Eretz. These 3 were created as kadosh places facing each other, and he barak the Elohim of mighty ones, who had put the word of Yahuwah into his mouth, and Yahuwah the everlasting, and he knew that a barak portion and a barakah had come to Sham, and his Banim to the generations forever, the whole land of Eden, and the whole land of the Seirids, and the whole land of the east, and Hudu, and the Seirids, and the mountains thereof, and all the land of Bashan, and all the land of Labanun, and the islands of Kaftur, and all the mountains of Sanir, and Amana, and the mountains of Ashur, in the north, and all the land of Elam, Ashur, and Babal, Shushan, and Madai, and all the mountains of Ararat, and all the rain beyond the sea, which is beyond the mountains of Ashur, towards the north, a Baruch and spacious land, and all that is in it is very good. For Ham came forth the second portion beyond the Gihon, towards the south, to the right of the garden, and it extends towards the south, and it extends to all the mountains of fire, and it extends towards the west to the sea of Atal. It extends towards the west till it reaches the sea of Ma'uk, that the sea into which all which is not destroyed descends. And it extends towards the north to the limits of Gadir, and it extends to the coast of the waters of the sea of the waters of the great sea till it draws near to the river Gihon, and passes along the river Gihon till it reaches the right of the Garden of Eden. This is the land which came forth for Ham as a portion which he was to occupy forever, he and his Banim to their generations forever. For Japheth came forth the third portion beyond the river Tinah to the north of the outflow of its waters, and it extends northly easterly to the north region of Gug, and to all the country east of there. It extends northerly to the north, and extends to the mountains of Kalt towards the north, and towards the sea of Ma'uk, and it extends to the east of Gadir, as far as the region of the waters of the sea, and it extends until it approaches the west of Parah, and it returns towards Aparag, and it extends easterly to the waters of the sea of Ma'at, and it extends to the region of the river Tinah in a northeasterly direction until it approaches the boundary of its waters towards the mountains of Rapha, and turns round towards the north. This is the land which came forth for Japheth and his Banim as the portion of his inheritance, which he should possess for himself and his Banim to their generations forever. 5 great islands and a great land in the north. But it is cold, and the land of Ham is hot, and the land of Sham is neither hot nor cold, but it is mixed of cold and heat. Chapter 9. And Ham divided his Banim, and the first portion came forth for Cush towards the east, and to the west of him for Mitzrayim, and to the west of him for Put, and to the west of him on the sea for Canaan. And Shari also divided among his Banim, and the first portion came forth for Alam and his Banim to the east of the river of Tigris, till it approaches the east. The whole land of Hudu, and the sea reeds on its coast, and the waters of Dadan, and all the mountains of Mabri, and Allah, and all the land of Shushan, and all that is on the side of Parnak, to the sea of reeds, to the river Tinah. And for Ashur came forth the second portion, all the land of Ashur, and Ninuah, and Shinar, and to the border of Huku. It descends and surrounds the river. And for Arpachshad came forth the third portion, all the land of the region of the Kasdim, to the east of the Parath, bordering the sea of reeds, and all the waters of the deserts, close to the tongue of the sea, which looks towards Mitzrayim, and all the land of Lebanon, and Sanir, and Armanah, to the border of the Parath. And for Aram there came forth the fourth portion, all the land of Aram, Naharaim, between the Tigris and the Parath, to the north of the Kasdim, to the border of the mountains of Ashur, to the land of Ararah. There came forth for Lud the fifth portion, the mountains of Ashur, and all belong to them till it reaches the great sea, until it reaches the east of Ashur his brother. And Japheth also divided the land of his inheritance among his Banim, and the first portion came forth from Gumar, to the east from the north side to the river Tinah. In the north there came forth for Magug all the inner portions of the north, until it reaches to the sea of Ma'at. For Madai came forth as his portion, that he should possess from the west of his two brothers for the islands, and to the coast of the islands. For Yahuan came forth the fourth portion, every island and the islands which are toward the border of Lud. And for Tubal there came forth the fifth portion, in the midst of the tongue which approaches toward the border of the portion of Lud, to the second tongue, to the rain beyond the second tongue, to the third tongue. And for Mashak came forth sixth portion, all the rain or region beyond the third tongue, till it approaches the east of Gadir. And for Tiras there came forth the seventh portion, 4 great islands in the midst of the sea, which reached to the portion of Ham. And thus the Banim of Noah divided to their Banim in the presence of Noah their father. And he bound them all by an oath, proclaiming a curse on every one that sought to seize the portion which had not fallen to him by his lot. And they all said, So be it, so be it, for themselves and their Banim forever throughout their generations till the day of judgment, on which Yahuwah Elohim shall judge them with the sword, with fire, for all the unclean wickedness of their strayings, with which they have filled the earths, and with transgression and uncleanness, and with whoring and crime. Chapter 10. And in the third week of this Yublym, the unclean demons began to lead astray the children of the Banim of Noah, and to mislead and destroy them. And the Banim of Noah came to Noah their father, and they informed him concerning the demons, which were leading astray, blinding, slaying his Banim's Banim. And he palad before Yahuwah his Elohim, and said, Elohim of the Rukut of all flesh, who has shown kindness to me, and has saved my Banims and I from the waters of the flood, and has not caused me to perish as you did, the Banim of destruction. For your favor has been great towards me, and your kindness has been great to my being. Let your favor be lifted upon my Banim, and let not the wicked Rukut rule over them, lest they should destroy them from the Eretz. But may you barak my Banim and I, that we may increase and multiply and fill the Eretz. And you know how your watchers, the fathers of these Rukut, acted in my day. And as for these Rukut which are living, imprison them, and hold them fast in the place of condemnation. And let them not bring destruction on the Banim of your servant, my Elohim, for these are evil, and created in order to destroy. And let them not rule over the Rukut of the living, for you alone exercise rule over them. And let them not have power over the Banim of the righteous from this time and forever. And Yahuwah our Elohim commanded us to bind all. And the chief of the Rukut, Mast Amah, came and said, Adonai, Creator, let some of them remain before me, and let them listen to my voice, and do all that I shall say to them. For if some of them are not left to me, I shall not be able to execute the power of my purpose on the Banim of males, for these are the corruption and leading astray before my right ruling, for the wickedness of Banim of males is great. And he said, Let a 10th part of them remain before him, and let 9 parts descend into the place of condemnation. And one of us he commanded that we should teach Noah all their medicines, for he knew that they would not walk in uprightness, nor strive in righteousness. And we did according to all his words. All the wicked evil ones we bound in the place of condemnation, and a 10th part of them we left, that they might be subject before Shatan on the Eretz. And we explained to Noah all the medicines of their diseases, together with their accomplishments, how he might heal them with herbs of the Eretz. And Noah wrote down all matters in a book, as we instructed him, concerning every kind of medicine. Thus the evil Rukut were prevented from hurting the Banim of Noah, and he gave all that he had written to Sham his eldest ban, for he loved him exceedingly above all his banim. And Noah slept with his fathers, and was buried on Mount Lubar, in the land of Ararat. 950 years he completed in his height, 19 Yublym in 2 weeks and 5 years. And in his height on the Eretz he excelled in the children of males except Canuk, because of the righteousness wherein he was perfect. For Canuk's office was ordained for a witness to the generations of the world, so that he should recount all the deeds of the generations unto generation until the day of judgment. And in the 33rd Yubal, in the 1st year, in the 2nd week, Pelag took a wife, whose name was Lumna, the daughter of Sinaar. And she bore him a ban in the 4th year of his week, and he called his name Ra'u. For he said, See, the children of males have become evil through wicked purpose of building for themselves a city and a tower in the land of Shinar. For they departed from the land of Ararat eastward to Shinar. For in his days they built the city and the tower, saying, Come, let us ascend thereby into the Shamaim. And they began to build, and in the 4th week they made brick with fire. And the brick served them for stone, and the clay with which they cemented them together was asphalt, which comes out of the sea, and out of the fountains of the water, and the land of Shinar. And they built it. 43 years they were building it. Its breadth was 203 bricks, and the height was a brick of a brick was a third of one. Its height amounted to 5,433 amah, and 2 pa, and the extent of one wall was 13 stades, and of the other 30 stades. And Yahuwah our Elohim said to us, See, they are one people, and thus they began to do, and now naught shall be withheld from them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech, that they may be dispersed into cities, nations, and one purpose shall no longer endure with them till the day of judgment. And Yahuwah descended, and we descended with him to see the city and the tower which the children of males had built. And he confessed their language, and they no longer understood one another's speech. And they ceased then to build the city and the tower. For this reason the whole land of Shinar is called Babel, because there Yahuwah confounded all the language of the children of males, and from there they were dispersed into their cities, each according to his language and his nation. And Yahuwah sent a mighty wind against the tower, and overthrew it upon the Eretz and sea. It was between Asher and Babal, in the land of Shinar, and they called its name Overthrown. And the 4th week, in the beginning of the 1st year, and the 34th Yubal, they were dispersed from the land of Shinar, and Ham and his Banim went into the land which he was to occupy, and he acquired as his portion in the land of the south. And Canaan saw the land of Lebanon, to the river of Mitzrayim, that it was very good. But he did not go into the land of his inheritance to the west, that is, to the sea, but he dwelt in the land of Lebanon, eastward and westward, from the border of the Jordan and from the border of the sea. And Ham, his father, and Cush, and Mitzrayim his brothers, said to him, You have settled in a land which is not yours, and which did not fall to us by a lot. Do not do so, for if you do so, you and your Banim shall fall into the land and be accursed through rebellion. For by rebellion you have settled, and by rebellion your children shall fall, and you shall be rooted out forever. Do not dwell in the dwelling of Sham, for to Sham and his Banim it came to be their lot. Cursed are you, and cursed shall you be over all the Banim of Noah, with the curse by which we are bound ourselves with an oath in the presence of the Kadush judge, and in the presence of Noah our father. But he did not listen to them, and dwelt in the land of Lebanon, from Hamat as far as the entrance of Mitzrayim, he and his Banim to this day. And for this reason that land is named Canaan. And Japheth and his Banim went towards the sea, and dwelt in the land of their portion. And Madai saw the land of the sea. It did not please him, and he begged a portion from Alam, and Ashur, and Arpachshad, his wife's brother, and he dwelt in the land of Madai, near his wife's brother to this day. And he called his dwelling, and the dwelling of his Banim, Madai, after the name of their father, Madai.